joining us this evening from wherever you may be. And to the ones who will watch the recording later on, thanks for tuning in. My name is Kelsey Palmer. I am the Assistant Technology and Metrics Director for Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, which is the parent corporation of Healthy Kids Mississippi. We recognize our board chair, Jennifer Garrett, our executive director, Dr. Michael O. Miner, and our project director, Mrs. Lottie Miner. In addition to this Zoomcast, we are restreaming this evening's webinar on our Oak Hill Regional CDC and Healthy Kids Mississippi Facebook pages. Feel free to like and share on your social media pages. Also, post any questions or comments in the Zoom chat or in the social media comments. We will do our best to respond to each question. Before we get started, here are a few reminders. If you haven't downloaded the Oak Hill Regional CDC app, please take a moment to do so. It is free of charge in the Google Play Store as well as the Apple App Store. All you have to do is search Oak Hill Regional CDC or Mississippi Healthcare Help. Did I say that it was free of charge? Yes, you heard correctly. Go download it now. Our next third Wednesday parent resource chat will be March 20th, 2024 at 11 a.m. about kidney disease in children. The next Ask Mary and Pat show will be March 25th at 6 p.m. We will remind you again at the end of this show. Now it's time to get the show started. Miss Mary Fenner and Miss Pat Boga, it's in your hands.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Fenner. I'm an application administrator and navigator for Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation.
And I am Pat Boga. I'm also an applications administrator and a navigator with Healthy Kids Mississippi and Get Covered Mississippi. And we're glad to be with you this evening.
Okay, we have some questions that have been submitted to us. Our first question is my child eligible for Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is CHIP? And the answer is any child up to the age 19 with family income up to $60,000 per year for a family of 4 may qualify for Medicaid or the CHIP program.
Okay, I have a question. Are teenagers eligible for coverage? And the answer to that question is yes. Children from birth until their 19th birthday may be eligible for Medicaid or CHIP.
Okay, as we all know that during the pandemic, they didn't deny anyone Medicaid. Even if they reached the age of 19, they were still eligible. And some of them were 20, 21, maybe even a couple were 22.
22.
But recently we had unwinding where they went in and denied everyone that was over 19 and above. So once you turn 19, you're no longer eligible, but there are other health insurance options for you. So if you have reached the age of 19, you can contact one of us at Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, and we should be able to help you with other health insurance needs.
That's right. And that number is 662-298-3584.
Right. Okay. The next question, I have a job. Can my children and teens still qualify? And the answer is yes. If you're working, or even if you have other health insurance for yourself, you do not have to apply for Medicaid for yourself. You just put in an application for your children, and the Medicaid office will use your income to see if your children are eligible for Medicaid or the CHIP program. If so happen that you're over the income limit for Medicaid, they will automatically test you for CHIP to see if you're eligible. So if they send you a letter saying you're over the income limit, more than likely you're over the income limit for CHIP. They've already tested you for CHIP.
Okay, the next question is, who can apply for Medicaid or CHIP for a child? Okay, now if you're a parent, a grandparent, a guardian, or other authorized individual or representative, you can apply on behalf of the child. And of course, if you're a teenager living on your own, you can also, if your state allows this, you can also apply for Medicaid on your own, on behalf of yourself, and or any adult may apply for you.
That's correct. If you're living on your own, if you're no longer in the household with your parents, or if you're living on your own, have your own place, you can apply for Medicaid for yourself up to the age of 19. If you're living with a guardian or someone that is not your parent, and you're staying with them and they're not applying for Medicaid, they can apply on your behalf, and their income would not be counted towards your eligibility for Medicaid. So I guess now we can hear from Brother Campbell, Clarence Campbell, who's going to talk about how to avoid tax scams. Mr. Campbell, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to share my screen with you. It's a little, come on, here it is, PowerPoint presentation. And where this came about is I was surfing online one day, and what happened to pop up was this little, I call it PSA, public service announcement from Navy Federal Credit Union, which is the title of this, How to Spot a Tax Scam. So I thought I would capture the information and share it with you because I think it's something that could be helpful to most of us at this time of year. All right, so bottom line up front, scammers are extremely active around tax season and have a variety of strategies to try to get your personal information. Never believe phone calls or emails claiming you owe taxes or asking for personal information. Oops. If you don't do your own taxes, make sure that you're working with the tax professional who's certified by the IRS or a VITA volunteer preparer. VITA volunteer preparers are certified by the IRS. And all we're trying to do is just help you avoid getting yourself into situations where you end up losing money, getting in trouble with the IRS, things such as this. Okay, how to protect yourself. With tax season just around the corner, it means that the tax scammers are sharpening up their swindling skills. And you can get ahead of them by learning about their favorite and most successful techniques. And so, as we know, the scammers are working 24/7 trying to figure out how to get money that we worked hard for. And some of the favorite techniques that these scammers use are phone calls, emails. They do it through fraudulent tax preparation and also through identity theft. Okay, phone calls. Although each call is slightly different, they all begin the same way. An unexpected caller who claims to represent the IRS or another government agency calls you. An agency's name may even show up on caller ID. The caller may say you owe taxes, and if you don't pay them immediately, you risk arrest. In a tricky twist on this premise, the caller may tell you your social security number has been or will be suspended, and you will need to confirm your number to reactivate it. And in some cases, you might get a pre-recorded message that demands a callback. what you should know about this. The Social Security Administration, SSA, will never threaten your benefits, and the Internal Revenue Service will never threaten to bring in law enforcement. Never provide any information about yourself over the phone, even if the caller knows the last 4 digits of your Social Security number. Just hang up. If you actually do owe taxes, the IRS is going to mail you a bill and allow you to request a payment plan. True IRS agents won't ask for a credit or debit card information or demand that you pay with gift cards or a wire transfer. And they'll always tell you to pay the U.S. Treasury, not someone else. What you can do? Not sure if you owe taxes? You can find out on the IRS website and see what payment options are available to you. You can also call both the IRS and Social Security Administration to verify if what you've told is true. And the numbers for the Internal Revenue Service, 1-800-829-1040, and Social Security Administration, 1-800-772-1213. And the IRS website is simply irs.gov. .gov, not .com, not .net, .org, but irs.gov, G-O-V. Emails. Another common scam takes the form of an official-looking email that supposedly comes from the IRS. Often these phishing emails invite you to click a link. The link will be indicated by blue font and underlined in your email. And if you click this link for information about your return or refund, they may even include a temporary password. The link will appear to lead you to irs.gov, but it will actually send you to a fake website that captures your personal information. Okay, this is an example of, or one example of what a fake email will look like. And in the heading, it'll say IRS. It'll say to whoever the addressee is on this email. And then it'll say something to the effect of you're eligible for a refund. The emails might include the IRS logo or bug up at the top and look official that way. And it might read something like this: hello, whatever your name may be. After the last annual calculations of your fiscal activity, we have determined that you are eligible for tax refund under Section 501c17 or whatever of the Internal Revenue Code. Please submit, and this is the link that you click, tax refund request form, and allow us 3 to 9 days to process it. Yours faithfully, Internal Revenue Service, United States Department of Treasury. And yes, it looks official, but it's a fake. It's spam. Another one that you might get coming from irs.gov is to whomever, IRS Identity Verification Service. And again, it's got the IRS logo up there, dear taxpayer. This might say, this is an automated email. Please do not reply. We've noticed your account information is missing or incorrect. We need to verify your account information to file your tax refund. Please follow this link. And then again, you have the blue font that's underlined that you can click to open up a link to verify your information. With some of these links, all you have to do is click on them and they automatically will gain access to files on your computer. With other links like this, you'll click on them and it'll open up a document that you'll fill in information that will allow them to steal your identity or have access to credit cards, things such as that. no telling what all information they can gain once they gain access to the files on your computer. Okay, and this one's gonna say thanks, IRS team, whoever they may be. Um, and then other information. Okay, protect yourself from fake emails. This one, number one, up at the top, always look at the sender's email address to make sure it's coming from an irs.gov address. irs.gov. And you can see on this one, it says taxpayers 120498@gmail.com. Gmail.com is not an official irs.gov address. And so right away, be suspicious of this, delete it. Down point number 2, scammers will use the IRS logo to appear more legitimate. And then again, part 3.3, it says, do not click this link, it's a scam. So anytime you see that blue font underlined, underscored, it's a clickable link, don't click it. Again, I'm going to say this several times during this little presentation, but the IRS will never contact you by email, text message, or social media. The IRS only sends correspondence through the United States Postal Service, USPS. Fake IRS emails usually have an eye-catching subject like IRS important notice or IRS taxpayer notice because they're very effective at getting people to open them. Scammers may spoof the sender's email address to make it look like it came from the IRS, and once opened, it may even have the official IRS logo. Clicking the link will download malware that infects your computer. From there, it's easy for the scammer to gain access to your financial information. And this is pretty much true with just about any email that you might get to. Make sure you know who's sending you an email and that it's coming from a trusted source before you click on any link, because it's not necessarily going to be a tax scammer that's trying to gain your information. It could be just another thief out there trying to get your information. What can you do? Again, don't click. And if you do get a suspicious email, you can report it to phishing@irs.gov. You can just click on forward that email, and then the forwarding address, it would be going to phishing@irs.gov. Okay, then I saw this posted. It's from Senator Bob Casey. I forgot what state because it's covered up. But again, I'm going to say the IRS will never, and this is never, call to demand immediate payment or call about taxes without first having mailed you a bill. They'll not demand that you pay taxes without giving you the opportunity to question or appeal the amount they say you owe, that you owe. They will not require you to use a specific payment method for your taxes, such as a prepaid debit card or Cash App or Venmo or anything else like that. They will not threaten to bring in local police or other law enforcement groups to have you arrested for not paying. They will not initiate contact by email or text message to request personal financial information. And an IRS agent will always provide identification when requested. And again, there's another email or a website here where you can report scams. I'm not going to repeat it to you. Just remember, phishing@irs.gov. Then, okay, fraudulent tax preparation, something else that people get hooked up in is the promise of a big tax refund. There's a lot of fraudulent tax preparers out there who will do whatever they can to guarantee that you get a big tax refund. And then now, with the easy access of what they call refund anticipation loans is the correct term for it. The tax preparers call them rapid refunds, where you get your money right away. These different preparers will sometimes prepare a false refund for you and guarantee you an instant refund. And of course, they're going to take a huge percentage of your refund by filing it immediately for you and giving you sometimes it might be a check or it might be a debit card that's loaded with your refund. Sometimes this refund is going to do nothing more than get you into tax trouble, because what they've done, what the preparer has done, is it's entered in false information about you so that you would get a larger refund than what you're entitled to. The tax preparer, by and large, is not going to be responsible for this unless they know IRS has noticed that there's a particular preparer using a particular identification number that has a history of preparing fraudulent tax returns, and then they might go after them. But most immediately, they're going to go after you because you're the one that signs your return attesting that the information that you submitted is true. So be careful about that. Okay. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this little presentation about identifying tax scam is that driving around Memphis a couple of weeks ago, I noticed on a lot of telephone poles, particularly in our neighborhood, I saw these signs posted. And it's a little bit blurry because I shot it through the windshield of my car. But it says $5,995, one child tax refund. Call this number, 901-350-7377. And so I titled the slide, Tax Preparation Caveat Emptor, which means let the buyer beware. And so this $5,995 tax refund, yes, it's actually true that you can get a $5,995 refund if you have one child and if you qualify for earned income credit and your income is between $11,800 to $21,600. And so the sign isn't wrong. It's not giving you false information, but it's deceptive. So be careful about going to returners like this, or preparers like this. I looked up that phone number on Google, a couple of different phone number identification sites to see if I could get a name for the organization or for the business that has this particular number, and nothing came up. And I didn't want to call the number because I didn't want my number showing up on their phone and then being deluged with calls from them to access their services. So be aware. Okay, what you should know. The IRS requires legitimate tax preparers to sign your return and include their preparer tax identification number. Unethical preparers won't include this. Scammers will often require payment in cash and don't provide a receipt. Others may even divert your tax refund right to their bank accounts. Example of this is somebody might go in for that $5,995 refund because they have one child and they don't have a bank account, either a savings account or credit or checking account. And so what the preparers might do is say, well, you can just sign here and have it sent to us, and then we'll transfer the money to you once it comes back to us. And guess where that money goes? It's not going to you. So what can you do? You can find a qualified tax professional in your area by visiting the IRS directory of federal tax return preparers with credentials and select qualifications. And you can do this by going online to irs.gov. Then also, if you do go to return or preparer, paid preparer, or any preparer, review your tax return carefully to make sure it's accurate, because ultimately you're the one that's responsible for it. If you do a refund and you want to have it directly deposited into your account, your bank account, make sure you're entering in your bank's routing number, the correct routing number, and your bank account number. Make sure these numbers are correct on the final return, the one that's transmitted. And then you can also do is you can dial 211 and learn the location of a VITA free tax preparer that's in your area. And as I mentioned at one of our previous presentations here, is Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation also is a VITA site. So you can call our number 662-298-3584 and find out when we're available, which is usually Wednesdays and Thursdays 5 to 8, and on Saturdays from 10 to 2. All right, one other thing to talk about. This is identity theft. If scammers manage to snag your Social Security number and other key information, they can file a tax return in your name and claim a refund that belongs to you. And you may not realize this has happened until you try to file a return yourself, and you find that it's automatically rejected because the IRS only allows individuals to file one refund, one return, unless amended. And so what should you do? Check the earnings reported on your Social Security statement. Make sure that they match your actual earnings. And also you should know that you're more likely to prevent scammers from filing a return that belongs to you if you file your return early. Okay, what can you do? If the IRS rejects your return or you've received a notice from them, call the Taxpayer Protection Program at 1-800-908-4490 for help. They'll ask you to prove your identity, so be ready for documents such as your birth certificate, Social Security card, and at least one previous tax return. If you determine that you become a victim of identity theft, the IRS will suggest that you contact major credit bureaus and your financial institutions, close any accounts open without your permissions, and consider a credit freeze, and also file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, with the FTC. So outsmart the tax scammers this tax season. Unfortunately, tax season is the most active time of the year for scammers. Even if they're not successful, you're likely to come face to face with at least one of these scams this year. Keep in mind these tips provided by Navy Federal Credit Union to help safeguard yourself and your taxes with peace of mind. Don't be afraid to question the return or the preparer about their credentials and why they're doing certain things and their legitimacy if you're concerned about that. Okay, so credits for this information, again, comes from the Navy Federal Credit Union. And thanks go out to the Navy Federal Credit Union for providing the information shared in this presentation. And that's my presentation to you. Any questions?
I have a question. So is there a chance that you can be scammed by mail?
Is there a chance
Someone
that you can be
impersonating
scammed?
IRS?
I would say yes. Somebody can put together an official looking letter from the IRS that says IRS on it and mail it to you. So if you do get something like that, then check for where they're having you send information. Look for things such as websites that say irs.com or .net or taxpayer.com or something other than irs.gov.
Yeah, okay.
And you can also check the phone numbers that might be listed there. And then something else I discovered some time ago too is quite often fake preparers and scammers that send you stuff through the mail, they're going to use an inkjet printer to print out your information. And so if you look at the type, it's not going to be, excuse me, as sharp and as crisp as it would be if it's printed on official IRS stationery. Logos will be fuzzy and whatnot. And so that's another way that you can check your documents, make sure that they're true.
Okay.
That's also true if somebody sends you a check and they want you to deposit this check in your account for whatever reason. This doesn't necessarily have anything to do with taxes, but if you get a check from someone that you haven't heard of, and you look at that check, and again, it's been printed with an inkjet printer. It's not crisp and sharp. It doesn't have watermarks on it. It doesn't indicate that there's a watermark or some other reason that you can verify the authenticity of it by holding it under a light or something like that. Then you know that this check that you deposit is going to end up draining your bank account. They're smart.
Oh yeah.
Gosh. Definitely appreciate the information.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, and remember, I'm not a tax expert. I just happen to work as a VITA, and I've learned a little bit of information by doing that.
So I have a question.
Yes, Ms. White.
If I chose a tax preparer or I went to this particular tax preparer, let's just say I was driving down the street and I see that there's one in my neighborhood and I stopped by there. Are there certain questions that I should ask, or how would I know that this tax preparer is approved by the IRS?
I guess the first thing you can ask them is for their preparer identification number. And there should be some sort of certification that they can show you.
Okay. Thank you.
You can, I think it's used to be able to prepare someone's taxes, and all you had to do was sign the 1040 as the paid preparer, and then that sufficed. And that was way back when virtually all the returns were filed with the old-fashioned paper forms. Now with so much electronic filing that's taking place, you don't have the handwritten signature that's going to go on these returns where they're necessarily verifying that this is who they are and that they're responsible for making sure that they legitimately prepared your return accuracy. So I guess their identification numbers be the best thing to ask for, or maybe just stay away from them.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Campbell. That was real
You're
helpful.
welcome. My pleasure.
But you've been a VITA worker for quite a while, haven't you? You've been doing taxes for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I've been a VITA volunteer since 2018, and then in a previous life, I also worked as a tax preparer before they got really, really, really complex.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so, because you're real knowledgeable when it comes to the taxes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have another question dealing with Medicaid. Okay. Is there a limit on the amount of time my child or teen can remain enrolled in Medicaid or CHIP? Once your child or once your children or the teen has been approved for Medicaid, they are guaranteed a year. You stay on for a whole year. Regardless of income changes, regardless of household changes, the child stays on. Now, if the parent happens to be on Medicaid, and if the parent's income changes, then that will affect the parent would no longer be eligible. They have to report income changes. You have to report household size changes. Once you report those things, and if the parent is on or the guardian is on Medicaid, then they may come off. They're not guaranteed a year, but the children are guaranteed a year regardless of income or household changes. And also, you do have to do a redetermination at the end of that year.
And we've also heard so many times we have parents that have stated, well, my income is low. You know, I work, but I don't make a lot of money. We understand that, but there are guidelines, you know, and there's a tax scale, tax table that shows what you can make, and you can't go over that. And the rule is, I mean, it's a standard rule, and it's been that way for years. So you
Right.
definitely have to abide by, no exceptions.
Right. They haven't changed the income limitation for parents. It's been around since 1985, and it has not changed at all. It's still the same amount of money that you can make if you're a parent applying for Medicaid. Well, the children are in entirely different categories. They have different categories for children and parents. So that's why it's hard or it's more difficult for a parent to get, if you're working and you're only getting paid minimum wages, more than likely, if you don't have like 6, 7, 8 children, you may not
Right.
be eligible. You,
Right.
that's the case. If it's only you and one child, more than likely you're not going to be eligible as a parent, but the child will be. Okay? We have to understand the children falls into an entirely different category from the parents. Even though they may be applying together, they're still different categories. So the children will be in a different category.
Right.
Mm.
Okay, and I have a question. How do I know when to renew Medicaid or CHIP coverage for my child or teen? Okay, well, the answer is the program will contact you to let you know that it's time to complete your renewal for your child or your family's coverage. And of course, enrollment for Medicaid and CHIP is open year round and must be renewed annually. Okay. And so it's really kind of good for you to keep up with your the month at least, or close to the time that you renewed the previous year. So you can start looking for, letters in the mail, and you may even get a call, right? So it's been
Yeah, they may call you or they may send you an email,
right.
or text message as well if they have that information. Yeah.
So you will have to renew every year. And even if you renewed in November of last year, coming up this year, it may not necessarily be November. It could be a month or two earlier. So just be prepared to renew.
Right. They usually send renewals out a couple of months earlier than it's time for your to be renewed. So, and if you haven't received the information, you knew you got approved in November of last year, and when September comes or October, you haven't heard from them, you need to contact them or either do a renewal on your own.
Yes.
Right, this or contact us and we can help you with the renewal. Because
Right.
sometimes letters get lost in the mail, and you don't want to get cut off. So if well, I remember my child got approved November last year and I haven't seen anything. So when it comes close to that time, if you haven't received the letter, you need to contact them or do the renewal on your own. You can put in an application yourself, a renewal application. You can contact us and we can help you with the renewal
Right.
process, or we can help you with a new application. And you can always give us a call at 662-298-3584. And whoever answers, you can let them know that you want to apply for Medicaid for your child, and they will give you to one of the Medicaid application administrators that will help you. Now, we do not approve Medicaid.
Right.
We have no say so on who gets it and who does not get it. But what we do is put the application in for you to keep you from having to go down to the office, or some
Right.
people may not have the time to take off work, or either you may not have access to a computer where you can actually put the application online. And if that's the case, you can call us and we'll help you with that. But we do not do approvals. Most of the time, majority of the time, I'm gonna say all the time, we don't know if you got approved or
All the
not.
time. Right.
It's hard for us to find out, but if you
Right.
can contact your Medicaid specialist and they can give you more information about that.
And if you call us, that's what you're going to hear from us. Make sure that you contact your Medicaid worker at your local office to find out if you're approved. And the main thing is make sure that you get the required documents in.
Right.
Now, if you put that application in and you just let it sit there, the normal process for the normal period for processing an application is 30 days. But if you don't get your require documents in or information, if you're unemployed, now you may not, you may not have anything to submit, but just be on the lookout for that letter. But if you have to turn in your income or social security number or what have you, make sure you get that in.
Right. Also, if you've worked in the past and they have you down as working or being
Yeah,
employed, they're going to want to see some type of proof to know that you're no longer working.
right,
So once you leave a place, your place of employment, request a termination letter or
right.
the date that you no longer working, so that you can submit that with the Medicaid application, because they're going to need that proof, and they're going to question you about it. Well, the last time you had application in, you were working at such place. And they may not accept you verbally saying, well, I no longer work
Mhm.
there. You have to have some kind of proof to show
Right,
that you no longer work there. And they usually give you 15 days to turn in information that has been requested. So please, when you get a letter from Medicaid, open up that letter and see what it is that
yes,
they're requesting. And if you cannot come up with the information in the time that they're giving you, contact them and let them know. Well, it's going to take me a little bit longer. So they will, if they're requesting it for you to return it within 15 days, then they'll give you another 15 days to turn the information in. But the total time is going to be no longer than 30 days. At 30 days from the date of your application, they have to process that application, whether you're going to be denied or approved within 30 days. So you need to make sure that you give them all of the requested information. And if you have questions, don't be afraid to call and ask them
right.
about what it is. What is it? Why you need this information? And they'll let you know why they need it. Just make sure you just get a relationship with your Medicaid specialist. Let them know who you are. Let them know that you're concerned about your application for yourself or for your children. Okay. What should families do to make sure they stay enrolled in Medicaid or CHIP during the unwind? Well, as everybody know, excuse me, the unwinding is when they denied Medicaid for individuals that were receiving it and they were 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, and they're no longer eligible for Medicaid. They don't have any children. They may be working, but they're no longer eligible for Medicaid. So, for you, in order to stay enrolled in Medicaid during that time, you need to update your contact information. Make sure they have your current phone number, your current address. If you've moved since you in the last 2 years, you need to let them know that you have moved and I have a new address, so that they can contact you and let you know that you're up for denial, or we need you to get this information
Right.
into us. If your children are under age of 19, that's what happens to a lot of kids. They miss that letter, the
Right.
requesting information or for their renewal, or letting them know that we need to do a renewal on you because of the unwind. And the children get cut off because the parents didn't see the letter, or they didn't get the letter, or they didn't respond to the letter. Because you know
Didn't
how we
open
do
it.
sometimes. We take that mail and set it off to the side. We're going to look at it
Right,
later. The next thing you know,
right.
later is here.
That's
Or
right,
later is too late. So, yeah,
right.
also make sure you check your mail. They're going to mail you a Medicaid renewal. Please check the mail that you get from Medicaid. It's only going to help you and not hurt you. It's going to help.
That's right.
And
That's right.
complete your renewal form and send it back to them. You can fax it to them if you like. If you don't trust the mail, or you can take it to the office and drop it off at their office. Or you actually can go online to medicaid.ms.gov and do a renewal online. You can do that as well. But just make sure you get that renewal form back to them so your children can stay on Medicaid.
And if you have any questions about your renewal form. You may, I received a call today, someone received theirs in the mail. And so they want help with completing the form. If you need help, just contact us and we'll do our best to, help you get that completed with your consent and make sure that you get it in. But again, remember, we don't process the applications once it goes to Medicaid. It's out of our hands.
Okay.
That's
Next
all I
question.
have. That's all I have.
Oh, okay. There's another question. Now, we want to do a commercial real quick.
There are Mississippians applying for health insurance that may not qualify for a program. However, we all know it is important for families to have health insurance. This is why Healthy Kids Mississippi has been working with our state's federally qualified community health centers, or FQCHC, to help our fellow citizens find a medical home. Our organization is focused on raising public awareness about health coverage options for children and their parents through the Medicaid and Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, in the state of Mississippi. Our process is simple. Our organization's assisters seek out Mississippians. Once our assisters gather the necessary information from the consumer, they apply for insurance programs on behalf of them when consent is given. When the application process is complete, the applicant will find out by mail if their application has been approved. We want to help as many families in Mississippi as we can. To learn more about our organization, please visit us on our website, healthykidsms.org, or give us a call at 662-298-3584. We welcome you.
Ms. Fenner, I just received a question via text. Someone wants to know, what is a gray form? Or, if we can explain the gray form. Well, the gray Medicaid application, that is for adults. We call it an ABD application, and it's very lengthy. It's you really have to submit quite a bit of information, but basically they're asking you your personal information. They want your PII, but you may even have to submit information on your assets or your income and private property and so forth.
It's mainly for anyone that's applying for disability. It's called ABD, which stands for age, blind, or disabled. So if you fall into one of those categories, you can apply, and your application is on a gray form. But like she said, it's lengthy. It asks a lot of questions. You have to submit a lot of information. If you're applying for disability, you have to submit doctor's information. You may have bank information that you have to submit as well. And it usually takes anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months to process that type of application, because once the application is submitted to the Medicaid office, it goes to Jackson, where they decide if you approved or not. Approval's not done in the Medicaid office. The approval is done in Jackson at the main Medicaid office. So it is lengthy. You do have to send out a lot of information, but if you feel like you need it because you're disabled or because you're blind or because you've reached 65 or older, you can put that application in. Just remember, it's not a quick process. It's not a 30-day process. It's longer, and you are required to submit more information than on a regular Medicaid application. They need your banking information. They need to know if you own a car or not, that type of stuff. Yeah, it's quite a bit. It is. So, but it's worth it if you feel like
yes.
you're going through it. Mm-hmm.
And if you own a home, They are going to ask for a deed, so
Yes.
just be prepared and
Yes.
don't get upset over that.
It's
a
pretty
requirement.
definitely right. It's a requirement, you know. So if you feel like that you need to apply for Medicaid as a disabled individual, if you have a child that's disabled, you can contact us and we can mail you a gray form and the required information and a list of the information that's required along with it. Or you can go to the Medicaid office in your area and request a disability application. And they will give you the application along with the other forms that needs to be filled out and signed. And I believe that's all we have for this evening. We'd like to thank everyone for coming in and listening to us.
Yes. Thank you.
Please remember the next third Wednesday parent resource chat will be on March 20th at 11 a.m. about kidney disease in children. The next X Mary and Pat show will be March 25th at 6 p.m. Oak Hill Regional CDC.com and healthykidsmississippi.org. 298-3584 or text us at 662-689-9712. Once again, we acknowledge our board chair, Jennifer Garrett, our executive, Mrs. Lottie Minor. This has been a production of Oak Hill Regional Community Development Corporation, belonging, building, and bridging in this region and